Charles from Barb High School. He's in his third year in LSU Sports Administration, serving as Assistant Director of Player Personnel. He had the best freshman season in LSU history for a freshman at the time, rushing for 1,001 yards, and he led LSU to the national championship, beating Oklahoma 21-14 right here in the Superdome. And he earned MVP honors in the title game as well as MVP honors in the SEC championship game. He rushed for nearly 2,100 yards and 17 touchdowns in 51 games in his illustrious career. Of course, the LSU Tigers are currently undefeated, ranked 4th in the nation, and they have a week off before playing the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, November 7th. Please give a very warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Justin Vincent of the LSU Tigers.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor for me to be here with Mr. Ken, and obviously your good friend Charlie Bagley badgering me every week. Make sure I remind me that I was coming up here on the 27th. Give you guys a little rundown about what I do at LSU and about the upcoming week as far as our bye week goes. Basically at LSU, what I do as Assistant Director of Player Personnel is that I work with Austin Thomas, who was here a couple of weeks ago as a director. Basically what we do is we have a bunch of student workers that work for us. We delegate duties for those student workers. Basically to break down film, put in our coaches' folders, make sure our coaches are watching them, to put ourselves above the curve or ahead of the curve in the recruiting process. Coach Frank Wilson does a really great job of putting us in position for us to go out there and contribute, to this country, to our state, and finding the best players for LSU. And also what I do as well, I'm the director of player development, and what that entails is basically I do whatever it takes for our guys to be successful off the field. Put them in position to find summer jobs with Coach Sam Nader, make sure their apartment living is going right, make sure their financial things are doing really well. Basically helping bring speakers in to give guys life lessons, not necessarily a rah-rah type deal, but basically give them a heartfelt, those who've done it before them come in front of them and kind of give them their story and say there's always be bumps in the roads and they can make it if they really want to try. About our LSU Tigers this upcoming week, obviously, like Mr. Ken said, we're undefeated. We have a daunting task ahead of us in a week and a half with Alabama. This bye week comes up. Yesterday we didn't have practice. Coach Miles basically going back to practice today, work on the things that we haven't done since camp. Ball security, fundamentals for defensive players, read your keys, different things like that. Get back in the weight room, get a little stronger, maybe do a little more conditioning this week. This week will be kind of a slow pace leading into next week, and want to wear our guys out and things like that. But our coaches do a really good job, and Coach Miles does a really good job as far as giving those tasks out to our coaches and our personnel guys to put us in position to do some wonderful things. Back to the recruiting aspect of it, it's a very sensitive thing for us. We take very pride in putting ourselves in position to be successful. Coach Frank and Austin Thomas, they put together something new every single week to put us ahead of the curve. We watch so many guys, through weeks, between our student workers. I think we might go through 100 a week, breaking down, cutting films. We don't necessarily do highlight films what everybody sees and go online or YouTube, and we make evaluation tapes. And what I mean by evaluation cut-ups is the good, the bad, the ugly. It's every single play. We like to see what guys do when the ball's not in their hand, when the ball's not coming their way. Do they take plays off, things like that. That's what kind of helps us find who can actually be an LSU Tiger and who we would like to go forward and recruit for. We don't really, do a whole bunch of listen to he said, she said type things. We like to do our own evaluation of our guys and, put ourselves in position to get in front of them and their family and present ourselves in the most fashionable manner. If anybody has any questions for me, as far as LSU goes, we're more than happy to take them.
Raise your hand. Over here.
I hope you're looking at Bruce Jordan's willing.
This is what I'll say is that I really can't comment on that. It's an NCAA violation. But yes, we looking at everybody.
Do you have requests available from the coaches, or do the coaches usually submit it to you?
It's a mix. Sometimes, we have different services that we go through that get films from the high schools, and sometimes the kids send it to them directly themselves. Sometimes their parents do, from email form, and sometimes they put it in the old-fashioned manner, put it in the mail and send it to us, and we'll put it in the system, cut it up, and strip the DVD, and do all we need to do, put it in the system, so our coaches go evaluate whenever they have free time.
I did see an article where Frank is being mentioned as a possible USC candidate coach. Is he really looking to leave Louisiana in the long run?
I wouldn't, in my opinion, I'd say no, but I know he is just like any coach, is relishing in the day that they have the opportunity to be a head coach somewhere at a university such as South Carolina. But, who's to say? There's a lot of things that factor into that, as far as family goes and, what he's doing now. So, hopefully, he'll do what's best for him and his family.
Kind of as a follow-up to Bob, and you may have answered part of this. If a kid sends you a tape, it's his highlight tape. You're not going to see the bad. How do you work on getting the whole thing so you can have that much film to evaluate, so you can see the whole?
And basically, like I said a few minutes ago, we basically go through the recruiting services sometimes, and we'll get the tapes from them. They get the whole game. And basically, between myself, Austin Thomas, and our student workers and interns, we'll basically sit up there and go through every single play. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes, depends on, how long the tape is and how much the kid actually played that game. Basically go through and we do 3 to 4 game cut-ups depending on the amount of plays the kid played, and put those in a folder for our coaches to watch whenever they're ready.
Which recruiting group do y'all use the most? Is it scout.com or?
We use them all. There's not necessarily one that we don't use the least or more. Whatever gives us the best quality, and whatever we're paying for at the time, that's what we get. So.
Yeah, 2 years ago with Davian Clown, there was talk in the media that people were whispering in his ear that you don't need to play this next year, just sit out and go to the NFL. Look at the running back, we're hearing a whole lot about that. Is there any concern about that, or what is the school, what is the university doing to protect against people that aren't supposed to be talking to you, coming and whispering in his ear?
Like between me and you, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Whenever I hear people say anything like that, and I think that's a reporter, somebody who wrote an article basically saying that he thinks he shouldn't play and this and that and the other. That's not in his best interest, and that's not what he's thinking either. Obviously, you can't control, and we try our best to kind of control the message that's getting to our players. You can't corral that any type of way, because if they want to get to him, they'll get to him. But Leonard is, I tell people this all the time. He's a kid who you watch on TV, as far as you guys, you don't get to see him as much as I do every day. You look at him and you're like, wow, I just hope that kid's not a bad kid. I really hope he's not a bad kid. He is the total polar opposite. He's a tremendous kid, great head on his shoulders, thinks appropriately, does things appropriately, on time. He's a leader in that room, he's a leader for our team. So, he kind of, when he heard it and somebody brought it up to him, he was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I would never do anything like that. I love the game too much. Why would I sit out in this? Things happen. I go out there and put my best foot forward and do things like that. But I don't think that's in his best interest, and he knows that. But you can't control the message that's getting to him. Hopefully, he just does what's best.
I don't think you were here, but it was 2 years ago, right here in this room, that he was presented Player of the Year, and he came up there and give it to somebody else.
Well, definitely, that's a testament to who he is. I mean, you guys got to see that firsthand, and now I see it firsthand, every single day. He blows your mind sometimes, like I said, because you look at a kid like that in the pinnacle of in this game, and at the highest of the high, and you just hope to heck that he's a good kid, and he just exceeds your expectations, and kind of blows your mind sometimes in how he responds and how he reacts to things. So.
Yes, do y'all do any written personality tests to evaluate talent when you're considering them for that one?
Not necessarily on our end. Once the kid gets on campus, we do assessment tests, basically to see where their mind's at. It's not necessarily done in our building, but done by the academic center. We don't do anything like the Wonderlic or anything like that, like the NFL does. But that's basically our version of the Wonder League, but that's also after we get them on campus and they sign with us. They basically go through the do's and don'ts and go through and check things off. They get a standard amount of time to take the test. And basically, you see where their English vocabulary, where their handwriting vocabulary is, where their mathematics and science and so on and so on. But that's how we kind of evaluate and kind of how Coach Tommy Moffitt, when we get a kid, we get them out there and we run them and this and that and other, and we make them lift weights, and he makes a package for them, precisely for them, what they do, this amount of weight, this and that and other, and that's what the academic center does on our end. Basically, puts them in this class at this time, gets them this tutor, this strategy tutor, learning specialist, whatever they need to help them push forward in the academic realm. So, is there anything else?
J.D. Moore expected back for Alabama?
I hope so. Really don't know too much about that. It seems like he's moving in the right direction, so hopefully, if things go the right way, he will be back for us in a week and a half.
12 years down the road, you still reflect on what happened here in 2003?
I get reminded about that all the time, but I don't necessarily kind of dwell in the past. It's kind of weird because when I walk in the building every day, I look at a picture of myself, and it's kind of the weirdest thing ever to see. And then also, I come out of my office, and there's 2 pictures of myself. I didn't hang them there. They were there before I got there. I asked them to take it down. They told me no. So it's part of history, I guess. I can't run from it. I'm truly blessed to be in the position I am now, and giving back to the guys what I didn't have when I was there, as far as the development side goes, and teaching guys the do's and the don'ts. I was fortunate enough, my mother and father did a great job. Never got in trouble, anything like that. Trying to put my best foot forward and tell these guys they can do the same thing. No matter who's in your life. You make decisions, do the best thing you can do. Do what you think is right, not what you want to be right. So I think, guys will, find a way to be the best they can.
How about your pro career? Your pro career.
Okay, I was part of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons. Won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. Was part of that team. I tell you what, though, kind of being in both situations as far as the national championship and the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl doesn't even compare. National championship is something different. Maybe it was different for me because it was here in the state of Louisiana, it was here in New Orleans, and it meant a whole lot more at the time. I think at the Super Bowl, people put more emphasis on media day than they do the actual game. But it was something that I'll have for the rest of my life, and I get cherished with my kids one day.
One more?
How do you think player development changed since you played?
For instance, they didn't have anybody like me. They didn't have not necessarily me personally, but they didn't have anybody in this position. LSU until I got here. I think every program needs it, whether it's at the high school level or whether it's at the pro level, whether it's at college, because guys are running 100 miles an hour. The coaches don't have time to sit down with them all the time, as much as you would like. And I'm the guy who gets the phone calls late at night. I'm the guy that gets them early in the morning. I'm the guy that gets them midday. I get the emails. I get the knocks on the office door. Come talk. Going through personal issues, anything I can help with. If I can't help, I'll find somebody or I'll know somebody who can help them. This college football thing and just football in general, life period is just hard. A lot of people, who watch games, and I have a lot of friends who fall, victim to that. They just think that they're just football players, and there's a whole lot more to that. They're people. They're children at best. It's definitely a hard thing for them, and sometimes it moves a little too fast. So I try to, bridge the gap between, the back end and the front end. So hopefully, going forward, we can continue to do a better job and put these guys in position to be successful after football, because it will be over for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.